Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The result you can see. Most of the people who graduated in the 60s, dropouts or half-baked intellectuals, are now occupying the positions of power in the government, civil service, business, mass media, educational system. You are stuck with them. You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic...
That we are unapologetic about our socialism. There are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right, or whether it's the end goal of seizing the means of production, where we do not have the same level of support at this very moment. And what I want to say is that it is critical that in the way that we organize, in the way that we set up our work and our priorities, that we do not leave any one issue for the other, that we do not meet a moment and only look at what people are ready for.
Hi everyone, Patrick here. Joe will be out today and tomorrow. Thank you for joining. Class is in session. What you just saw was a little hybrid video that I found online the other day that I felt struck hard. And that video was filmed by Yuri Bezmenov, and he is a former KGB USSR defector. And there's a lot of his talks are out there. I'm going to be using some more as I go forward. And he discusses what it is and how we got to where we are. And he laid the foundation for this in 1980. Sorry about the typo. I will clean that up after the show. Sorry, everyone. But that is from 1980. So you're looking at something 46 years ago. And if you actually sit there, listen to his words, take a couple minutes, look around, and just think, can you not conclude we are there? Can you not conclude that that this has happened? Not that it's happening. It's happening, but it has been occurring for a very long time. And it is surfacing, or at least more Americans are aware of what the communists have done to us. And if you look around, he talks about destabilization, right? You want to basically educate the children. Look what they have done. Look what the education system has become. And they have had full range over the education system for 40, 50 years. And look at the ideas that are being taught to our youth. Just look at it. Equity, critical race theory. All that stuff has ties to Marxist communism. It all does. right? Have nots, separation of classes, oppress, oppressor, right? Either which way you want to call it, whichever way you want to describe it, but that's what these ideologies do. And these ideologies are pressed forward throughout the public school system. And why? Because he's telling you why. You want to program these kids to be destabilizers of the nations. And that's what we have. That is exactly what we have, is the destabilization of America through the education system. And it's not just the education system. It's online, it's in the movies, it's on TV, it's on social media, it's within our culture. Think about how far our culture has come in 20 years, 30 years. I remember being a young kid and like everyone being up in arms about, you know, should we allow gay marriage? Look how far we have come since gay marriage, right? But that's what the communists do. Take a little bit, push further. Take a little bit, push further. Take a little bit, push further. It's their game. It is their game. Yuri explains that in other videos, he explains the useful idiots. Excuse me. We use that term a lot. But useful idiots is a legitimate way the communists function. They use them. They create them and use them. And no matter how much info or no matter how much factual information you give them, you cannot deprogram them. That's what we're seeing in America. You literally try and have a rational debate with someone of the other political aisle, right? Like, if you try and sit and have a rational, logical conversation, typically it won't go that way. Because eventually what winds up happening is facts trump emotion in debate form. And then when you don't have the facts to come back, you short circuit. And then it turns into screaming, yelling, name calling, labeling. And then poof, the actual substance doesn't matter anymore because you had the emotional reaction that now overrides the facts. And if you look around society, that's what we get. Everywhere we go, emotion overrides facts. And that's part of the playbook. That's part of how it works. And people don't wake up to it fast enough until they get hit with the boomerang effect, which we've talked about on the show. Other people, you know what the boomerang effect is, right? Oh, social justice warrior, oil's good, oil's good. Pow! Oh, 10-time convicted felon just killed me, right? Equity boomerang. But that's what it takes. And sometimes that's not even enough to wake some of these people up. And then you also have the infiltration through the communism, right? Through the communists. You have the school systems. You also have the social media. The Republicans, MAGA, whichever way you want to slice and dice it, has had complete control of our government. Legislature, executive, judicial branch at the federal level. Somehow we still can't get things done. And a lot of it has to do with our own snakes within our movement. Those snakes have their communist ties or have their money being tied to them. And then they put their self-interest over the American people and we get all this infighting. Milo. Say what you want about him, but he is, when he speaks, everyone listens because they know when he says something, he brings the receipts. So recently, Milo just threatened to expose the conservative movement on the right side by saying he has a list of people that have been paid to attack Candace Owens because of Candace Owens' investigation into Turning Point and the Charlie Kirk assassination. Let's put up Milo's post. Did you take money to call Candace Owens a demon on X? If so, we want to hear from you. Let me rephrase. I got my hands on the list. Fess up now, or I'll name you later this week, alongside the pathetic, pitiful sum of money you accepted to do it. He put that out the 24th, which was 2 days ago. I have not seen him name anybody yet, but Milo, if you follow social media, you've been following him for a long time, he brings receipts to the table. So I'm sure he's got something out there. But you know how X works. People on X, kind of went digging, researching, and then this girl, Gavi girl, kind of put this post up there, and she kind of kind of put a couple of them together. She said, I didn't realize Cat Turd. And if you guys are familiar with Cat Turd, he's a big poster, big MAGA influencer online, right? Makes some funny memes, has some funny comments, but points out things to the American people. But if you take a look down on the screen, she put together a bunch of different little captions of who said what. You have Politics 1776, Jordan 15590. I don't know them too well. I know Gunther Eagleman though, follow him. I know Han Shanity, I know them. I know Cat Turd, right? And if you take a look right there, if you freeze that, if you take a look, they all are kind of using the same language, which is funny to me. Demon's not a word you kind of just see used all the time for calling people out or calling someone demonic, right? You don't see that, especially towards one specific person. And then you see that you have a collection of MAGA influences kind of using the same verbiage here, which to me lines up with what Milo's saying, is that these people kind of got paid to attack Candace. We'll see if that's all true or not. But it seems to me that there could be more smoke and fire behind the scenes here with this. And what that means to me is that our side doesn't care about actually winning. Our side cares about protecting whatever needs to be protected and taking special interest and payments to make sure they get their piece of the pie, while the American people don't. So that makes me question now, if these influencers are part of this Candace Owens thing, what else have these influences propped up or been united with, and we didn't actually realize it, right? So this is how sad the world is. This is how sad our side is, that this is how we operate. You don't got to label it. Let someone do work if they want to do work, if someone wants to do investigative work. But if someone wants to create work that is slanderous, outrageous, and just full of lies, they'll get their ass sued off in court. So let it all play out. I don't understand this. I do understand it, actually. It's purposely being done to muddy the waters on our side, to create infighting our side, so we don't have unity on our side, to actually stand up and rise up against our common enemy, which is those above us. Right, the special interests, the controlling forces that are pulling the strings down here, getting me a little upset about this, getting other people upset about immigration enforcement, getting other people upset about trans, right? Just the string pullers, right? It's just amazing. They know what they're doing. They're good at it. They've been going, this has been generations, hundreds, if not thousands of years of this type of playbook being passed down along the ways. So those that use the playbook, know the playbook, understand the playbook, because they understand human nature and human emotion, which they use and drive us to act on instead of using our logic and our rationale, which unfortunately gets the best of me sometimes, and I get frustrated and speak out of frustration and anger instead of taking a minute to just take a breath and just like, why is this here, right? Why is this news being broadcast? Why is this post coming out? Right, all the other stuff, right? If you think about like the Erica Kirk stuff, like where did all these videos all of a sudden start coming up from after Charlie's assassination, about her being on dating shows, her being in some CIA commercial video? Like where did those clips originate from? Like who went and found them? Who distributed those? Because those weren't anywhere to be found prior. I don't remember seeing any of that stuff or hearing anything about it. So who did that digging? Who found it? Who distributed it, right? Where does all this stuff come from that magically appears online? Right, like what I've noticed is a lot of these influencers are trash. They don't have real stories. They're keyboard warriors that have been propped up because they have a connection. They may have saw something they shouldn't have seen. Right, like honestly, how many of these real conservative podcasters are actually legitimate human beings with a good conscience that just do good work and have a real life history and story behind them? I don't think too many, if not any of them, do. You know, just go through that list on there. Like, what life did those people have before? Even Candace Owens, what did she do before? Modeling agency? Erica Kirk, what did she do? Miss USA, Miss Arizona, right? Other people online that get propped up. Benny Johnson, what did he do? Oh, he wrote for I believe the Daily Mail back in the day, but Milo threw shade on him a while ago. If you didn't hear about it, try and find that one. But yeah, these people really aren't real people, that don't have real stories, real lives, but somehow they are the ones that we go to or they're the ones that get propped up online to speak to everyone. Joe has a great message. Joe brings the facts every day. But Joe's voice doesn't get elevated. He's not part of the club. And I didn't know too much about Joe before I started working here, but me working here, I'm thoroughly impressed with the knowledge, the research. You know, he is very thorough before he comes on the show. He makes sure what he's saying is correct, and then if it's not correct, he'll issue a statement that corrects it, right? He'll do that. But why? But why isn't this show being pushed up? Like, this show does a lot of good work. Like, the amount of information that gets disseminated on the show is absolutely insane. Way more, and it is better than pretty much anything out there that I've listened to. And I've listened to a lot of podcasts. You know, I got locked down during COVID when I didn't have to go to work. So I had some downtime and I listened to some podcasts. But yeah, just makes you think, question, like, why is Cat Turd big and bad and important? Who is he? Where did he come? What did he do? Right? But how did they work their way up? Ben Shapiro, where did he come from? We know where. Right? He got propped up. What life story does that guy have? What real world life experience does that guy have? You know, was he bagging groceries? Was he picking up dog poop when he was 12, 13, 14 years old to make 10, 15 bucks? Highly doubt it. Right? But these people get the golden mics. It's just frustrating. And then us regular people who are on the ground level that actually get impacted by the day-to-day policies, right? Like these billionaires, these social media people that are behind the keyboards, they don't get affected by policies. They don't get affected by equity in their job. They don't get fired for being a proud American. They actually can say they're a proud American and nothing happens to them. Right? And I'm sure they have the means to send their kids to different schools where the transgender and all that other stuff isn't being shoved down their kids' throats. So once again, what real life experience do a lot of these social media influencers can speak to? They can't. They can't. They have support staff. They don't have I doubt very few of them wake up in the morning, make breakfast for their kids, you know, make sure a wife or husband go to work. Right? I doubt all that happens. Because they don't have to do that stuff because they're not real people. But they represent outside, and now they unleash hell on outside because we can't just be honest about who's saying what and why. And why do we have to attack someone for just asking questions about an assassination that millions of people saw? Probably the worst thing people have ever seen in their lives live on TV. And someone's asking questions and trying to understand what happened that day. Why is she demonic? Why is she evil? And who cares if she's doing it? If it's all bogus, if it's all bullshit, if it's all nonsense, and she does all this work, it'll be exposed as bullshit being nonsense. That's it. This is America. People are allowed to have opinions. People are allowed to present their side of a story. Whether or not you agree with it or not, it doesn't matter. They have a right to do it. Now, the quality of that work will dictate how many people will look at that work and believe that work. And that's what we need in America, is just allow the natural process to play out. But we don't allow that natural process to play out. Instead, we need people from outside to take shots at each other, to create this big smoke screen, to create the disunity, to create the chaos, so that we all can't cohesively be uniformed around a single idea of moving this country and this political party forward. Because there's chaos everywhere. And instead of getting mad at the person that is asking the questions, maybe your anger should be directed at other people that know about it. And those questions should be asked of them, not calling the person that's trying to actually uncover information about an assassination that we're not getting any information about. But let's call her demonic. Just let her do her thing. It's not that hard. And we'll see what the evidence produces, see what her work is, right? That's what America is. If you have good quality work and it's verifiable, it is what it is. We got to stop this garbage on our side because it doesn't help anybody. But once again, it's either willful ignorance or I'm lining my own pockets, self-interest, right? Instead of just being let the truth play out. No. Let's not let the truth. Let's not invest. No. I need to get paid here. I need to make mine, and how I make mine is to cause this here. And that's outside in a nutshell. Meanwhile, the left, they're unified. They're organized. They don't do this nonsense infighting. If you actually infight with them, they get rid of you. That's how they roll, right? On my train or get the F out of the way. That's Commie 101 land. That's why they're unified so much, because they know how it works. They just know what to do. So yeah. So outside gets fractured by the misinformation, disinformation, lack of unity, lack of honesty, the willful ignorance, the willing to sell outside out for making a couple bucks because, hey, that's what I got to do. Instead of, hey, just let this play out. I'm not involved in it. Why does it matter? My name's not attached to Candace Owens' report if it's shit. What does it matter if a report's shit? What if a report's lies? That has nothing to do with me. I'm not a reflection on that because I'm not tied to it. I don't understand why these other influencers just don't think that way. Because they don't want to think that way because they're not being paid to think that way. That's all. It's all self-interest. Self-interest and special interest have stomped over and stomped out the American people. And then we got to fight the social battles every day. Let's just play this video and we'll go into it after. Let's play cut 4.
Wow. Kyle, you want to sit on my shoulder? Oh my gosh, you're so tall. You want to sit on my shoulder? Wow. No. Kyle, look at all your balloons. You love it? Do you love it? Come on, let's go look in here. Wow. What a berry wonderland. Look at this place. Look at this. So beautiful. Look. Aunt Courtney is so talented. Kyle, do you want to sit on your throne? Ready? This has your name on it. Okay, ready? Sit right here. Sit right here. Here's your ball. Ball. Dylan, here's your ball. Distract him. No, put it in his hand.
Well, they're melted.
Ball. Kyle. Okay, ready? Let her take a picture or a video. Ready? Dylan.
Those are two, whatever you want to call them, celebrating their child's first birthday party. That is not real. Okay, that is real, unfortunately. But this is where we are in 2026 in America, right? The cultural slide, the cultural decay, what has become normal? Take an inch every so often, That shit's like a mile, right? Like, talking about, in my lifetime, I remember arguments going around about gay marriages to this. That's a mighty big swing. That's a mighty big swing, but that's how it originally started. And now you even have the Gays Against Groomers branch off, right? We had Rich Guggenheim on here a week or two ago. He's one of the leaders of the Gays Against Groomers because that movement went too far. But that's what the communists do. They take those movements and they keep pushing until someone like Rich, who is rational, is like, yo, this is crazy. And now he's fighting against that. Right? Like, there was a separation of a movement because of how far the communists take it. Right? Civil rights evolved into BLM. And that movement is still, I think, going on. I don't know. Like, I've heard it, but I think some of them went to jail for fraud. Like, I'm not totally sure. I think it's still around. But, yeah. The communists take the movements further and further and further. And with BLM, what'd you get? You get the tearing down of the statues, the forcing of white people to take knees, right? The projection of trying to create a new cultural norm. And that's what the communists do. They create these new cultural norms all over the place. Even though they don't realize it, right? These two are the useful idiots. And by the way, what type of parent does this? Okay, they're parading around their surrogate, whatever it was. I don't know which one is the actual, like, DNA connection to that child. I don't believe both of them can be at the same time. I don't know, though. Right? I don't know. I should ask a commie to update me on this, but I really don't know how all that works. But I do know as a parent, that's something I would never do. And first off, they don't look like they're parents of 1-year-olds or 1-year-old, okay? Their house is too pretty. They're well too put together. They're not normal. They're not an average, what an American family looks like celebrating their 1-year-old's birthday party, because they're not real. And if you were watching that video, you might have saw the help poke around the corner a little bit. It wasn't anyone fancily dressed. They were dressed very like, might have just finished decorating before the video aired. I don't know. But like, that's trash parenting also. But they're getting propped up by their side. But think about it. What normal person does this for their 1-year-old birthday party? How many people put their 1-year-old all over their social media feed to show them off? I'll tell you who. People that don't really have a lot going on in their life. Those that need the validation from others because their home life is empty. And it's amazing that you have a 1-year-old and you're happily married, but your home life is empty. Because you need to show everyone how great and happy you are. You're not great and happy. And then I want to see what that child turns into down the line. Okay, data's out there. Kids that grow up in this type of environment don't exactly always turn out the best. And I know you could say that everywhere, but you know what I mean. You know. We all know that's not going to be a sustainable way of life for that child to be successful in. Just not. And that poor child is being used as a prop. Not to show the child how much they love them, but as a prop to get clicks and likes by these two mentally deranged individuals. I'm sure if you sit down and talk to them, I'm sure they both say, yeah, I had him and he's the fault, right? Like there will be such a warped perception of reality that child will never get a real dose of reality. And I sound like I'm talking like Kamala Harris in a word salad, but literally like it is an alternate universe that side creates and perpetuates and becomes a societal norm that we have to accept. Because it becomes part of life in school, becomes part of life of clubs that your child is a part of. It becomes part of culture on TV, on social media. It becomes normal. And then those that call it out are then labeled and erased. Communistic playbook. Communistic playbook. Like, my wife and I, our boy just turned 4, and we make it a point that we post nothing of him. We have put no pictures of our child up online. We don't even have his name out there. Right? That our choice of parenting, I guess. It just doesn't make sense to prop up a 1-year-old for that. That should be like a special moment that you celebrate as a family. But no, you need to get the clicks, you get the likes, you need to get this circulating on social media. You need people to, oh, you wonderful parents. You wonderful parents. Yeah, I'm sure they set all that up, by the way. I'm sure they set all that up. I'm sure they dressed themselves, picked out all their clothes the right way. Like, I'm sure they did it all on their own, just those two and the 1-year-old. I'm sure that happened. I'm sure that happened. But that becomes reality. But that becomes reality. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. And then you have the social breakdown within America, right? We start there. And then you get boys going into girls' bathrooms. You get boys going into girls' athletics. You get LGBTQ clubs in schools. You get all this going on with our young generation. But there's adults that behave this way too. You get grown-ass men going into women's locker rooms, whacking it in a stall. We played that a couple months ago here. Just whacking it under the stall. You get men stripping down naked in women's locker rooms at workout facilities so that they could legally expose themselves to females. Culturally becoming the norm. Women are the ones that are being violated by this. But one guy, I'm going to give this guy credit. He actually called out the trans community to their face. And I want you to listen to this. And then you try and figure out the argument. B1.
I just wondering, are trans people being killed? You guys look alive. You're distinctly different from preborn children. You're not being killed.
Cute. You're really cute.
Well, thank you.
You know how
I work on it.
that sounds?
What's that?
You know how moronic that question sounds?
That you guys are advocating for trans rights while you're alive and freely walking around, flaunting your perversion everywhere you go.
Oh, flaunting my perversion, huh?
Yes.
Oh.
No one is killing you.
Oh.
It's fake justice.
Yeah. And tell me where the counter argument is. There is no counter argument because the gentleman is right. What trans rights are being taken away? You're free, you're breathing, you're walking around. You cannot go into a women's restroom if you're a man. You cannot play women's sports if you're a man. Doesn't seem out of line. And if you remember, FDNY, someone that trains the FDNY from the EMS in New York City, self-proclaimed says 40% of transgenders either hurt or successfully commit suicide. So why do we continuously allow that type of percentage to dominate our way of life that are mentally ill? Right? Like if you think about it, gender affirming care is basically the only mental health disorder that we actually push forward, that we affirm. It's the only mental disorder we affirm. Schizophrenia, get help. Bipolar, get help. Suicidal, get help. Eating disorder, get help. Transgender, double down all in, baby. It makes 0 sense. Okay, if someone has suicidal ideation, you don't give them a knife and say, here you go. If a young lady or a young man has an eating disorder, you don't lock them in a room with cold cuts and sandwiches and a garbage can. You get that person help. This is the only group that we refuse to call out and refuse to actually help them. We actually empower them and actually allow them to overtake our young women and to overtake our women in society. We do that. This is the only mental health disorder that we actually affirm, and then it comes back and steps on us. It's the only one. It's a social ill. It's a mental disorder. If you've been around, especially if you're in middle school or high school, if you've been around the community of students that identify as trans, you realize that it's pocketed. That one friend does it, then another one kind of does it, and then it become a little group, and then eventually a couple of them fade away. Because it's a fad. And then the ones that are truly thinking they're trans, it's a mental disease that is being actually affirmed into them to make it worse. That's why 40% of them either self-harm or kill themselves. But yet we still got to deal with people like, and then his response, just look at him. He has no actual logical response in that debate, that gentleman does. Right? He's got the wide eyes, he's got the loud voice, but he really has no substance to anything. So the trans rights that they're actually fighting for is to actually violate women's spaces. That's trans rights in a nutshell, to violate women's spaces. And that's what people that are fighting for the trans community want. They want to fight to invade women. Where are we as men? Where are we as a society to stomp it down? Where is it on the federal level to root this out on congressional legislation, national legislation? Same thing with CRT. Okay, take a look. I believe, what was it? New Hampshire? I forgot what state it was. The state up in the Northeast that is passing the Charlie Act, which is looking to ban Marxist and critical race theory in schools. Now, if you could do that at the state level, why isn't there a push at the national level to get this knocked out? Willful ignorance, special interest, A or B. Willful ignorance, special interest, A or B. But the answer is always the same. And then take a look. We talk about standing up to the trans community about wanting rights. Take a look at the data from under the Biden administration on gender transition surgeries or care.
Statistics are just staggering. 5,747 children underwent surgical mutilation, according to the Stop the Harm database. 13,994 minors underwent sex change treatments. 8,579 received hormones and puberty blockers. More than 62,000 sex change prescriptions written for children. I mean, it's just staggering, Congressman.
It is truly medicalized child abuse. And people sometimes ask, where were the parents? Well, I think many children will tell you this story, and I think Chloe would tell you this story, that many times parents were coerced. They were told that if they don't go along with transitioning their kids, their child will commit suicide. Would you rather have a live son or a dead daughter? I can think of nothing more inappropriate, nothing more unethical than that kind of coercion.
Yeah.
Do you see those numbers? And from what I'm hearing there, it seems like the parents feel like they have no choice but to affirm it, because they've been conditioned to believe that if they don't affirm it, their kid will kill or hurt themselves. It's actually the opposite. I'll be honest with you. I've worked with trans kids. I've got along with trans kids. Some of them have self-harm. They self-harm. Unfortunately, I didn't see them do it, but I saw the aftermaths of it. The scarring. Okay, that's not normal. Someone that's cutting themselves is crying out for help. Someone that is confused about whether or not they're a boy or a girl is crying out for help. Now, what does that mean to help them? It looks differently depending on your political allegiance this day and age. Right or wrong, like if you're a Democrat, left-leaning family, and your kid is having those doubts about who or what they are, I have a sad feeling that you're going to affirm it and push it forward. And then the other side is pretty much going to try and resist it and get therapy and educate and work through the problem instead of just appeasing the problem just to go, right? And that's just how it's going to be handled. Pretty much anything how we deal with in this country, anything is now just down to political lines, whether or not you get your kid vaccinated or not, whether or not you get yourself vaccinated or not. Everything seems just to be cut down the political line. The communists have done a great job subverting the information that gets disseminated to us and how people interpret the information that has been given to them. It's quite fascinating when you unpack all of this and become aware of it. And once again, this is not black pill moment. This isn't the world is ending moment. No, this is a conversation about history, and that we had warning shots from almost half a century ago that not too many people took warning to, or people that did know about it didn't care or willfully ignored it, have left us, the American people, out to dry. So we just need to be aware of it, prepare for ourselves, spread knowledge for our families, and understand what we're actually in the middle of, and when things are happening, understand why they're happening. This isn't isolated with the schools. Right before the trans movement, right, 5 years before that was a big push because of George Floyd, equity and DEI and CRT, really hard body push into the school systems. I remember when I started working at Cherry Creek, I got new teacher orientation, and he's no longer in the district now, but he became the superintendent in another local district out here in Colorado. He screamed from the top of his lips, "CRT is here to stay." I was like, what? That was 2021. I was like, wow. But yeah, the mindset, right? Everything is up here. And then it takes here, your heart, to make the decision. These communists don't have hearts. They don't have a conscience. They have complete loyalty to their agenda. They don't care about people losing their jobs, losing their livelihoods, being debanked, being deplatformed, wrecking their lives, putting unrelentless lawfare against them, threatening their livelihood, threatening their safety, threatening their family safety. They don't care about any of that because the ultimate end game for them is total domination, a win. And you're just an ant on an anthill to them. That's why they don't care about doing anything or calling anybody a fascist, a Nazi, going after them. They don't care. Because the ultimate end game is their success. But the problem is, if and when they win, they're just the useful idiots that are going to be stomped out under the regime that they thought would actually be the benefactor for them. They're just idiots. And speaking of idiots, we got a clip for you on this one. This woman signed up to give a sworn testimony in Wisconsin about trans participating in sports. Got to hear this one.
My pronouns are they, them, or at least that's what I share with people most often, but for this particular meeting, I will come out fully as saying that my pronouns are she, they, him. Now, I don't usually go into that because it becomes a quite interesting, delicate conversation about what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman. And I get that. That is a conversation that we don't generally have as young people or even as adults in our current culture. Fair enough. So I will simply say what I told my 60-year-old father, who was also born and raised in the Madison area, like myself. I asked him, do you know what it means to be a man? And to his credit, he said, no, I don't. And then I asked him, do you know what it means to be a woman? And again, to his credit, he said, no, I don't. And then I looked at him and I said, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's where I land. I land at an understanding that my womanhood, as I was assigned at birth, does not come from my ability to produce children or to behave in a feminine way. And my manhood does not come in the form of my genitalia, for that can be lost too. And so there is a discussion to be had about gender identity and understanding of what it means to be part of the LGBTQ community.
How about her father was just tired? She probably lives at home on the couch with about 5 cats, and he's just tired. He's probably had the conversation with her 1,000 times, and he is just given up. Let's be real. Because you can't have conversations with irrational, illogical communists. And if you look at her, the eyes tell you everything, right? The saying's true. The eyes tell you everything. She was bug-eyed in there, right? So something's not right behind the scenes. And also, let's be honest, my pronouns are she, they, him. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. She, they, him. Do you sit when you pee down? Yes or no? Okay. Do you have anything that's swinging between your legs? Yes or no? Okay. Oh, that too can be removed. Okay. Just interesting language these people use. They operate in the most extreme cases as the what ifs, the one-offs, and yet those what ifs and one-offs dominate our daily conversations and our daily way of life in the name of inclusivity. That's right. In the name of you have to accept me for where I am and what do I identify as. So why don't we have the ability to self-identify as a 67-year-old, full retiree, full benefits package of a member of Congress? Why can't we do that? Just saying. It will make my mental health a hell of a lot better if I could just say, hey, you know, I served some time in Congress. You guys put me through a whole lot of bullshit. Felt like I was in there with you. I self-identify. I want my retirement package. Why is that ludicrous? If that could be a she, they, him, why can't I do that? Simple question. I'm sure a lot of Americans would opt that type of identification status, self-identify. You could identify as an American citizen, identify as a legal immigrant, identify as a 65-year-old retirement package, right? Who gets the best deal? Who gets the best deal out of those three? Who gets the best deal? Not the American, tell you that much. Who funds the deal for all three? The American. I would like to self-identify as, let's see, I don't want to be Mitch McConnell because I don't want to have to shit my pants and get my diaper changed by my handler. So who do I want to self-identify as in there? Oh, my God. I don't. I'll just self-identify as a rep from Colorado. That's it. Count it. Count it. Speaking of reps from Colorado, this happened in the Colorado State House recently. Mad respect to Colorado Rep Ken DeGraaf. Let's play this clip.
All right. Any questions for the sponsors of the bill? Rep DeGraaf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Rep DeGraaf, if you ask questions, please refer to me as Chair or Madam Chair.
So let me explain to you what happened right there. Colorado Rep Ken DeGraaf called fellow Rep Brianna Titone a man pretending to be a woman as Mr. So he had to correct the record there. You have to refer to me as Mr. So-and-so or Mr. Chair, right? Like, no, you're a female. Did you see that? Did you see that picture? He didn't like being called a mister, even though he's a mister, clearly. So the reason why I say good for you, Rep DeGraaf, I hope you do this shit again. If you do, and because we got laws out here now in Colorado, right? We got anti-discrimination laws out here in Colorado, right? This is the communist push right here. Changing language. Notice how much our language has changed over the last 10 years. Look at what words are acceptable to use. Look how you have to address people. Where I was from, how I grew up, you called someone what they were, end of story. And if they didn't like it, and they told you to knock it off and you didn't, you know what you did after? You fought. And then whoever won the fight, that's who you got called. So I think these two should duke it out in a boxing match. I think we should pay-per-view, live stream it, fundraise it for the illegals out here in Colorado to get them shipped out by ICE. Let's do a little fundraiser for it. And let's stream these two. Let them box it out. Let them box it out. Because that's how you really handled it back in the day. You kept calling somebody something they didn't like being called. Eventually you took enough of it. And if you were tough enough, you stood up and you stood up for yourself and you fought back. Well, this day and age, no, we can't do that, right? We can't hurt anyone's feelings. So we got to go to lawfare. So out here in Colorado, we have Colorado's anti-discrimination laws, amended by House Bill 25-1312, the Kelly Loving Act, signed May of 25. So, treat intentional, persistent misgendering or dead naming as potential evidence of discrimination in certain cases. So I wonder if Rep DeGraaf keeps calling, I'm assuming his name was Brian before he changed it to Brianna. I should have Googled that before we came on. Sorry, everyone. Busy day today. I should have Googled that. But I'm pretty sure it would probably be Brian or a man first name. So if Colorado Rep DeGraaf keeps saying this to him, I wonder if Colorado Rep would be subjected to this law now. So would this be considered workplace discrimination, hostile work environment? Maybe. It could happen in public places. You can't, in public accommodations, refusing to use a person's chosen name or how they choose to be addressed can be evidence of discrimination. Penalties for proven discrimination are civil, up to $3,500 per violation or more for repeat offenses. This is out here in Colorado. So I wonder how many times Rep DeGraaf can call this thing a man before this thing slaps him with some type of lawsuit or subpoena. I don't know. Just wondering, because you know that's going to come. Because my feelings are hurt. My feelings are hurt. Yeah, my daughter doesn't like seeing men in bathrooms, but that's okay. That's all good. But your feelings are hurt. You're a 6'1" masculine guy, but your feelings are hurt because I called you a man and you want to be known as a girl. Right? Like, this is what goes on. And we have continuously bent the knee to it. And then you have communist states like Colorado that pass this type of legislation to make sure you cannot offend somebody with your free speech. Welcome to Colorado. Welcome to Colorado. We have free speech out here. If you're a man and I call you a man, you're a man to me. I don't have to bow down and call you a female or a dog or a furry because you're cosplaying to get your rocks off, you sick freak. Right? Because honestly, that's a lot of what this is. A lot of these people cosplaying, getting their rocks off in public. And then we, the normal ones of society, have to tolerate it and deal with it. And then if we have daughters, we have to be fearful of what might happen to our daughters in bathrooms. And don't say kids don't get assaulted in bathrooms. It happens. It happens in schools. It happens in malls. It happens all over the place because you allow people with mental health issues to freely have access to our most vulnerable population. And we're not supposed to bat an eye about it because this is supposed to be normal. Nope, it's not supposed to be normal. It's being made normal by the communists in charge. And that's the shit that's got to stop. That's the stuff that needs to put an end to it. And you know, we played that video, it's 50 years old, and he said then, 50 years ago, the cat's out of the bag. So he's probably right. He's probably right. But we still have to stand up. We still, as Americans, we need to be aware, and we need to push this back as far back as we can, if not root it out. And being real, right? As us, as everyday Joes, we cannot make the massive arrest changes at the top. But we can prepare our families and our communities for what's coming and prepare, most importantly, our kids. Because our kids are the ones that are going to be left in the world that we had a chance to defend and we didn't. Or they're going to be left in a world that we didn't prepare them for because we chose not to. I'm not going to be that father. And I hope if you're listening and you got kids, you're not going to be that father either. You need to have your kids mentally prepared and physically prepared. Mentally prepared, physically prepared. And I'll add a third one in as well, spiritually prepared. You need to give them good guidance, good moral groundwork, because the communists don't have morals. And it's easy to corrupt people when they don't have morals or the good footing. So you need to make sure you arm your kid across the board, because we are in a spiritual, cultural, educational war. And it is for the battle of our kids. That's why they keep going after our kids. And then you got another incident of a man going into a woman's locker room. I want to play this clip for you because this is how egregious it is, but yet how normal it is, and how the cops actually treat this thing with more respect than the person that felt victimized. Play it.
Yep, there he goes, women's locker room. There's the man going in the women's locker room. Hope there's no one undressing in there. Hope there's no naked women in there. Since there's a man in the, why isn't anyone warning the women? What? So, Paul, if you're a female, why do you use the men's restroom sometimes and the women's restroom sometimes?
Please stay away from it. Yes, politely, like I said.
You hear that at the end, the police officer goes, he asked politely, like I said. Do you believe that? You see that video? That thing walks into a female bathroom, into a male bathroom. He's a switch hitter, depending on what day of the week he wakes up. That's not normal. Okay? And that type of behavior should not be tolerated in any place of business, especially a gym where women are going into the locker room after a workout or before a workout. They're changing, stripping out, showering, changing out, right? Like, they are vulnerable and there to be seen. Like, that creep should not have access to that space. But more and more people like that get access to these spaces. And then what happens? Our women have to retreat from the spaces they should be safe in. It takes away their rights. And the communists argue, well, their rights are more, right? Because I've had these arguments with a legit communist in in my education life. Like one of my former, straight up communists, swear by it, like 100%. The argument is like that person has civil rights too. So the argument is like what's good, what's benefit for the most, who benefits most from it, doesn't mean it's true. That one person's equal rights need to supersede that large group's equal rights to make sure they are seen and heard. Communism. Undoing the societal norms. And these are norms that have been established for hundreds of thousands of years. Humans have been around for a long time. And if we all were transgender, we wouldn't make it this far. If we were all gay, we wouldn't have made it this far. There was a natural selection that occurred. A breakdown of sexes, male and female, so that this species can procreate. Okay? That's the long and short of it. If you get stranded on a boat, if you get stranded on an island with 40 of those things walking around, and you come back in 20 years, they'll all be dead, no one's left. Can't procreate. 40 of those things walking around. Just can't do it. But yet we need to make sure they get the treatment that they think they deserve, which is to go into other women's safe spaces for them, and then compete in their sports as well along the way, all while victimizing them along the way. That stuff should have been beaten down as soon as it showed its head, and it wasn't. Why? Go back to it. Willful ignorance, special interest, your choice. But either answer is good here, A or B. And then in California, just trying to show you how society's trying to be reprogrammed and normalized by the commies, right? Take a look at what could be running for office in your neighborhood next.
I believe Fresno deserves leaders that are honest from the very beginning, not the end. So going into this, I am putting my life out there.
Upfront about his status as a registered sex offender, Rene Campos is not running from his past as he runs for office.
I've been given the chance to rehabilitate through the courts and back into the system.
Charged with being in possession of child sex abuse material back in 2018, the Fresno native says he pled no contest to a misdemeanor charge. Now launching his campaign to represent District 7 on the Fresno City Council. He says his focus is on safety.
So I say, let's choose somebody outside the box, somebody who knows the system from inside out. Because I've experienced the laws that we are trying to reform right now.
Fresno County Clerk and Registrar of Voters James Coos says state law does not prevent a registered sex offender from running for office.
Once you leave prison, you're on probation, you actually are allowed in California to reapply and become a registered voter again, which would then make you eligible to be able to run as long as you are living in the proper jurisdiction.
That dude can't go into a school, but he can run for public office. Make that make sense. And then he wants to change legislation. He didn't say what, but I just can't. I would love to hear it. Can't imagine what laws he's looking to change. You could be a registered sex offender and be a state representative and then collect state taxpayer dollars as a salary. How much you want to bet the left lifts this guy up and he'll get elected? Because that's what they do. Anything to make the system worse and worse for us and benefit them, they're on board for. He actually pled a no contest to possession of child sexual abuse material. What does that mean? What do you think that means? Not a good person. A normal person doesn't get caught with this charge. Okay? Normal person does not get caught with that charge. But yet can run for office. That's California. Another communist state, which, by the way, is broke. I don't know how else to put it. Broke spiritually, financially, socially, morally, It's just bankrupt out there. Sorry for anyone if you're in California and listening. Just tough sledding. Just tough sledding out there that they allow all this stuff to go on. You also get the CDLs to illegal immigrant truck drivers that then crash into other Americans in different states, wrecking families, killing people, leaving to fallen angel families. Yeah, well, that's good too. Colorado, the same. These communist states just do whatever the hell they want. They have no interest of serving the American people. They look to put the illegal immigrants, DEI, trans right, anything above and beyond the American people, because they have contempt for the American people, and they got special contempt for the American people that are knowledgeable of what's going on. Because then we spread the truth out there, and then that hurts their cause, so they want to boomerang back. Right? It's a never-ending game. It's a never-ending cycle, and it's just what we're in the middle of, because special interest or willful ignorance continuously dominate us. Right? A lot of these problems can be solved like that overnight. Really can. The elections, trans stuff in schools, CRT, all this stuff can be solved pretty much overnight. But it doesn't seem to get done. It doesn't seem to get done. And a lot of it has to do from our political leaders, either at the local, state, or federal level, whichever way, right? And then who are those people working for and with, and who's on their staff? The long game, the infiltration, right? The education of a couple of generations of Americans. Those people then rise to power. Yeah. And you got another wave. You got another wave of Marxists coming behind this wave of Marxists. And you got to listen to these next two clips. You're going to listen to Democrat Alex Padilla talk about how Republicans are rigging elections. How could Republicans rig elections if they want voter ID, no mail-in ballots? How are you rigging? Let's play it.
And Secretary Noem said the quiet part out loud when she was in Arizona last week. This administration only wants, quote, the right people to vote. Their record is so bad, their only chance of staying in power this November is to rig the November elections, and we're going to stand up to it.
Yeah, one of the very few policy proposals he endorsed was indeed this so-called SAVE Act for that.
So yeah, I'm not going to deny that the Republican numbers are in the toilet. Yeah, their approval rating is shit. I don't blame anybody. I'm not happy with them either. But to say the Republicans are trying to rig the elections because they want voter ID and no mail-in ballots, that really doesn't make a lot of sense. It seems like that we're trying to take away the ability for the Democrats to have fraud in there. And when he's talking about, Kristi Noem says the right people to vote, you mean legal American citizens. Those are the right people that can vote. Am I wrong? Let me know if I'm wrong. So yeah, when we're trying to eliminate the fraud and all the stealing of the American voice through certain legislation, that's one of them. There's more work that needs to get done, but that's one of them. But that's the dog whistle that the Democrats put out to their side. And then their media groups pick up on it, their social media influencers pick up on it and become, ooh, that's a new talking point. It's like a new toy. It's a new toy for the left. It's a new toy for the commies. The Republicans are the ones that are actually rigging the elections, not us. Whoa, new toy. Gotta spread that. Whoa. Yeah, we're trying to rig it. We're trying to make it somewhat honest. Trying to give ourselves a fair chance. That's all. Just give ourselves a fair chance. That's all. But our party better get their ass in gear and get some policies lined up, because we've got nothing to hang our hat on. We have nothing. We have deportations. We have no major legislative victories. What he passes, one big, beautiful bill. How's that benefiting us right now? We need more victories. We need legislation outlawing CRT and Marxist teaching in the school systems. We need to classify transgenderism as gender dysphoria and treat it accordingly. We need to start making moves on these action items, sir. And Congress, we need to also make action items on our elections. It's just not the SAVE Act. It's a lot deeper than that. Things need to start occurring. Otherwise, this communist march will eventually take us all over. And then the real answer will be willful ignorance and personal self-interest gain. That's going to be the answer if it doesn't get corrected. I want to play this clip for you because we've been talking about the takeover, the educational generational takeover, training the American people in communist ideas. They've done that, right? And they've done it specifically through the education system and also through the unions. I don't know if a lot of you know that, but a lot of unions are actually following the Marxist playbook. And I know that because I worked in the unions, especially the teachers' unions. They use this, and then they align with other unions to create a cohesive force. But take a listen to this out of Romulus, Michigan. This socialist talks about what ICE facilities are like. Go ahead.
We have children being held in concentration camps, and we have to end this as a society. And it's not just a Dem or Republican. This is a human rights problem, and we have to stand up for each other. So we are an hour away drive to come down here today.
Where is the Baldwin Center?
That is Baldwin, Michigan. It is called the North Lake North Lake. We call it the North Lake Concentration Camp, and that is what the second largest concentration camp in the United States right now.
Now they want to open up a 500-bed detention center here in Romulus,
in the
next to
middle,
the airport.
Right? How convenient? How absolutely convenient to disappear human beings. We need a general strike. The billionaires have to go. They need to be taxed at an insane amount when they hit a certain amount because nobody needs $1 billion.
So she has two different points there. No one needs $1 billion. Oh, who says who? Would you say no to $1 billion there? I seriously doubt she would, but she doesn't have the skill, the knowledge, the drive, the competency to probably build a $1 billion company or a $1 billion idea. Instead of working on something like that, she's out there spending her time doing that. I guarantee she's a public school teacher. She looks like a public school teacher. That's what I would bet on. She teaches in the school system. So, no one needs $1 billion. Who are you to make that decision? Here in America, people are free to make as much money they possibly can. If you have the ideas, if you have the talent, make as much as you can. That's great for you. Now, would we love if you shared some of that on the way down, hitting off some people on the way out? Sure, but no one's expecting that. And that's the beauty of America, is that we should be celebrating individual success because we should want that individual success. But that's not the case because communism teaches collectivism. And that's a part of the communist movement, right? Is the collectivism thought, the shared wealth, the taking away from those that are rich, the haves, right? The class warfare that the communists always want to push. And we're playing these clips because I'm trying to paint a story here about the language and how it just gets picked up and how society is being pushed in different directions, right? It's all getting tied together, going back to that first clip we played to tie this together on a bow for us today. She's a product of the education system. She's a product of being indoctrinated, and she's in her 40s. And now she's indoctrinating the youth below her. So think about how much more extreme that youth is coming up. That's what I'm trying to get all of us to see and understand. This next wave that's coming, the next 20-something-year-olds, and then the next teenagers that will be the 20-year-olds in 10 years, they will be more extreme because the people that are teaching them are more extreme. The communist push is real, and these people don't even realize they're communists. And then she's a moron on top of it. She's calling this concentration camps. Detention facilities are concentration camps. I wonder if she knows what a concentration camp was. And I don't want to get into the whole thing with that. I really don't. But we know what we all believe, or what the narrative of what she definitely believes what a concentration camp is. So she definitely believes a concentration camp is a place where people are being sent right now to be gassed and killed. That's what she thinks. Because that's what, in her mind, the concentration camp was. That's what she's comparing to Nazi Germany, 1930s, 40s, right? That's where her mind is. Meanwhile, DHS is building these facilities to hold people before they can get them on planes to ship them out because they got to go. And if there's minors that are caught up in there, it is what it is at this point. Criminal illegal aliens have to go. And newsflash, minors can be criminal illegal aliens too. I actually had to work with some of them at my first high school dean job out here in Colorado. I had illegal alien kids in my building that were legitimately criminals. They would have warrants out by Aurora PD. They rarely came to school. They were busy doing other things. But juveniles can have warrants and commit criminal acts that can cause them to be deported, just so we're all clear on that. I want to make sure everyone understands that. 100% the young bucks can commit crimes, and unfortunately they do. Just watch social media. A lot of crimes today are committed by at-risk youth, under 18 years old. Just the truth. So yeah, you have that being pushed. You have this educational push, right? You've seen the products of it, and now we got the younger generation coming up. So we have a Illinois congressional candidate. She's in her 20s, and you got to hear what she's calling for. She's just a candidate right now. She's not elected, she's running, but listen to her part of her platform.
Abolish and prosecute ICE. We need to repeal the Patriot Act. We need to lift refugee caps, and we need to offer complete amnesty and citizenship to any immigrant here who has not committed a violent crime. Additionally, we need trials. There is no moving forward without justice. Stern words for Greg Bovino aren't enough. Body cameras aren't enough. We need people willing to put everything on the line, not when it's politically convenient, and not have their hands in their pockets.
So yeah, she's saying, which will soon become all the talking point for the left in the upcoming midterms and then the presidential: abolish ICE, arrest them, lift refugee caps, give amnesty and citizenship for millions of illegals. That's the playbook. That is the more extreme version that we just had in the Biden White House, right? So the next cycle's up and coming. You think AOC is going to say no to that? You think Mamdani is going to say no to that? They're like, oh, that sounds good. Let's do it. And then you do away with ICE and you open the borders and you give amnesty. You have the takeover of America, which is what they want. They're not hiding it. They're pushing it. And it goes back to the first video. It goes back to the video. This is the long game being played through. And they're not telling you everything. And they may not get everything this next time through. But they're going to push as hard as they can for as long as they can until they get a pause. And then they'll hit a pause, and then they'll push again until they get uprooted, right? You have to get these people out of their positions of power. You need to get them arrested if they are doing illegal activities with funding, defrauding through NGOs, and follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. That's all you got to do. Because this stuff is well funded, it's organized. We've reported some of it on B with our B series as well, right? So it's there, it's out there. It can be tied together. But this is the next wave that's coming. They're more and more extreme. They never dial it back, right? Do you think the Democrats are ever going to go back to we need to have secure borders? Let me ask you that. Are they ever going to say we are not going to allow illegal entry into this country? No, they're never going to go back on that stuff. That stuff's conquered already. They won that, right? They're never going to revert back. The march through, the communist playbook. And as long as we continuously have our education system in the secondary level and at the college level being ran by naked communists themselves, a lot of things aren't going to change because you're going to get the same production in society. You're going to see the same stuff, the same shock troops going to get constantly pushed out. And this is what Yuri was talking about at the beginning of that video. And this lady wants to lift refugee caps. Where have we not seen what happens when we bring in people that don't want to be here for the right reasons? Have we not learned this yet? Have we not learned the economic cost that that happens? Have we not learned the societal costs? Have we not seen what happens in Europe when they do this stuff? Europe is a hot mess. I just saw a video out of Ireland the other day where it looks like they got their own little IRA group up and going again, saying they're going to recapture the land because they're tired of seeing what's going on in their countries. They have become a minority in their country. Their women are being victimized by third world migrants in Ireland. That's happening. That's happened here. Americans have been killed by illegal immigrants. American girls and women have been raped and murdered by illegal immigrants. Well, rape and murders happen everywhere. Yeah, they do happen, but they don't need to happen extra. You don't need to have people that have violent tendencies being brought over here. And if you think about it, right, if you look at some of these countries where these men are coming from, let's be honest, they don't have the most beautiful women where they're coming from. And the way the women are dressed, they're not dressed to impress either. So then you get brought over here and we have beautiful women of all different shapes, sizes, colors, creeds, ages walking around here in America. And these people don't know how to act. Some of them act on impulse. And then we have catastrophic events that occur. We have rapes and murders occur because they cannot control themselves, because they're not used to being in an environment like we have here in America. Assimilation is a real thing. If you want to come to a country, you need to be prepared to assimilate to that country. Okay, the country doesn't need to change for you, but that's what America has wound up doing. We have changed to conform to everyone from around the world instead of standing up and promoting our own American culture, our own American values, border, language, culture, our American values. We have given those up now, and we have allowed our country to change to third world migrants to make them feel more welcomed here. And they do feel welcomed here. You believe that? They are welcomed and they feel it because they get free stuff. They get home care. They get medical. They get money. They get what they came here for. Whether or not they actually love this country doesn't matter. They got what they needed. They got what they wanted. And then what are they producing here in America? More babies? The next Einstein? What are they producing here? Lift refugee caps. Are you out of your mind? Look what has occurred here in America when we imported from the third world starting in the 1960s. America was 90% white, I believe, in the 1950s. It is now somewhere around 60%, I believe. And people say, that's great, that's great. Okay. So why is America in such a tough spot then today also, right? It's the white male again, right? The arguments don't logically line up or make sense. The white population is declining here in America, but yet at the same time, the communists tell us that the white people are the problem. How is that remotely possible? It's not. We welcomed people in. We got taken advantage of. That's the reality. And then you have people that come to this country when, I believe it was in, I got to do more research, guys. Sorry, I wasn't prepared to go on this tangent today. But I'll do more research. But when we opened up and we started to take in third world refugees, because there was a criteria before to immigrate into America, like that was actually, we had criteria that you had to abide by before coming into this country. We had standards, basically. We had standards. Those standards were done away with in the 50s, I believe. And fast forward 70 years, you're telling me this country is better now than it was in the 1950s? Are we safer now? Do you feel safer now? I believe people are more concerned about the safety of their families now than they were in the 50s and 60s. Right? Like, our education system, how has that fallen off the cliff over the past 40 or 50 years? Right? It's all tied together. It's all tied together. And we were talking this week about, I brought up the fact that Muslims can pray in schools, and if you're a Christian teacher, you can't hang a cross. That's part of the cultural battle and the education battle. Twofers right there. And I don't know if I think some of you guys really didn't believe me when I told you, like, legitimately Muslim kids can pray in schools. Well, this clip was on my feed. This was on my feed this morning, and it just the way it worked. Let's play cut 4, Damon.
I was in my virtual classroom with my virtual students, and they were logging off to go eat lunch. So I was just sitting here and I heard some commotion in the hallway, and I went out to see some students out there, some fifth graders, and they were looking for somewhere to pray. It is Ramadan. They they are Muslim. They practice the Islam faith. And they needed a place to pray. And they asked if they could come and pray in my room. And I've never experienced these students praying before. I've never seen it. I know they do, and it's usually in another place in the school, but that teacher wasn't here today, the counselor. And so they asked if they could come in here. They knew I didn't have students. And they said I could stay. And so I sat at my table, and I watched these 4 precious babies without any adult there forcing them to do it, which happens a lot in religion. With no one here guiding them or leading them or telling them what to do. There was a beautiful symphony of these 4 knowing exactly what to do. Things with their hands, things with their bodies, standing, sitting, almost bowing and kneeling, and in perfect synchronicity and very seriously. And it was so incredible to watch. I sat at my desk and I just started weeping. They got done, and I was sitting there wiping my tears, and they looked at me and they said, "What?" And I just said, "I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you." And they came over and we hugged and we had a moment, but man, to have that faith as a 5th grader, where you take it on yourself to pray when you're supposed to and do what you were supposed to do, it was beautiful to watch, and I'm so proud of my babies.
So yeah, separation of church and state, yes. Separation of mosque and state, not so much. If you're a Christian, practicing the Christian faith, make sure you do that in public, under lock and key. Draw your curtains closed. Can't do this in public. But if you're a Muslim, please feel free to take over Times Square. Please feel free to take over our classrooms. Here we are. Please come in, come in. Oh, class? No, no, no. You don't need to go to class. Please, prayer room, this way. How's that tolerated? Why is that tolerated? Would you tolerate a group of 10 Christian students coming to pray? Would you allow those students to miss class to go pray in a space in the schools? And if you do, how come there's no spot for them? You make the spot for the Muslim students. You heard right there on the clip, it was the counselor's office. She wasn't there that day. And it was the same thing at my other job, right? It was either at the auditorium at the high school or it was the counselor's conference room at the middle school. So the areas were designated. Is there a designated area for Christian students? Is there a designated area for Jewish students? Is there a designated area for Buddhist students or Hindu students? Right? That's why you don't allow church and state to cross like this. Because if you allow one, you got to allow all. But you don't allow all. You allow your golden child. Why? Communist playbook. To create division. To use the useful idiots in order to create division. And yeah, that's great. It's beautiful. It's this, it's that, it's the other thing. Great. Do it on your own time. Do it outside of school. How come they don't have priests coming in to mentor kids then? Why isn't that happening? Oh, separation church and state. No good, no good, no good. Don't do that. Right? But this is just a continuous assault on our schools. And with communism, you have the continuous assault through critical race theory, through equity, where you drive division among staff and you drive division among students. You drive division amongst the students themselves. We've seen with these ICE out protests, we've seen pro-Trump kids get assaulted by anti-ICE kids. Or pro-ICE kids being assaulted by anti-ICE kids. Sorry, misspoke there a little bit. But you got the picture, right? Why isn't that considered a hate crime? Why isn't that being talked about more on the media? Because that shouldn't be occurring in schools. But yet schools are putting kids in these situations. because they're promoting political ideas. And by doing that, you're actually ostracizing the kids that think differently. But they don't care. They don't think any of the kids think differently. They think all the kids need to think the same way. And if you're not going to think the same way, I'm just going to keep educating you to make you think the same way. That's why it's so important as a parent is you actually arm your kids with good principles, a good conscience, and a religious base. The communists hate religion. It instills principles and truths. They hate nuclear family because, once again, it gives principle and truths. And we got this clip to play. Listen to this audio tape that AFL released because they're doing a suit against Cherry Creek School District. They're asking the DOJ to take a look at a discrimination case involving Cherry Creek School District. And this is part of their audio file. Listen to this.
So the bottom line in all of this is that their first instinct is implicit bias. So if, for example, is not responding appropriately to concerns, it's because has implicit bias towards a black young lady, and that she does not know how to navigate the cultural identity of a black young lady, and that is talking to her like talks to anybody. This is just how communicates, and that is culturally appropriate for her to communicate that way because that's what is culturally appropriate. And that what is happening is that the whiteness that is present in our building is looking at that in a punitive way. That we are not. Is this a fair way? You're on point. That we are attributing negative connotations to what is essentially exactly. We're calling her disrespectful or disruptive or defiant when she is just communicating in a culturally appropriate way. And that it is our whiteness that is standing in the way of being successful in our setting. Yeah. And that does not feel comfortable in our setting because we are not culturally responsive to who she shows up as.
Did you follow that? So basically, a black female student can behave any which way at a school because of the whiteness of the staff. That is CRT, that is equity, that's the communist playbook because it's all about being divisive. There was no talk about how this student could be made academically successful, nothing. It's totally the whiteness of the school, and her behavior is what it is because she needs to communicate this way. Is that not racist? To basically lower the standard, to say that her behavior is because of she can't come to school? What does that even mean? To me, what that means is that there's too many white people in this school and that student doesn't feel comfortable coming to the school that's full of white people. That's what equity teaches. That's what communism teaches. And then of just saying, we know we need to set the bar of behavior this way because it's not beneficial to the learning environment for you to keep behaving this way. It turned into a conversation like that, where the staff was being told, basically, there's nothing we can do here, where the whiteness of our school is causing these problems, so there's never any solution. There's never a solution. And that's what the communists do. They create chaos. And this goes on in education systems. And I guarantee if you know any educators, have them pull up this episode and listen to this. And I bet you they've heard these conversations somewhere before or been a part of it because it happens all over the place. You have different levels of consequences in schools based on race. Different levels of behavior are tolerated based on race in schools, specifically schools that follow equity, and critical race theory, which are communist linked. It's all tied together. It's all tied together. The more you know, the more you have to understand. And yet the ones that are in that room right there, 90% of them are the useful idiots because they don't know what's actually going on. The one that's doing the talking in there is probably the biggest useful idiot of them all. So yeah. Whew. What a show today. What a show. Top down. I thought it was a really good show. I hope you guys learned something. I hope the content resonated with you. I know it did for me. I hope, and this is therapy for me, to be honest with you. It's helpful for me to talk, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper than actually going to therapy. So I appreciate you tuning in, the ones that tuned in today. I appreciate you. I will be back tomorrow. Joe will be off, but Joe will be back Monday. Okay, Joe will be back Monday. I'm not trying to sandbag anybody, just trying to give you the heads up. You got Pat for one more day. Hopefully I'll put together another good show for you. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Hopefully you learn it. Like, share it, spread the word, spread the info. Band together. That's what we got to do here. And with that, I'll pray us out. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, thank you for an opportunity today to sit in a chair and spread the good word. Thank you, Lord, for my loving family, the ability to see them in the morning and see them at night before we all go to bed. Thank you for the ability to work with a great team here at Untamed Nation to spread the word and do your work here on earth, God. We need more allies. Dear Lord, please open up people's eyes, ears, and hearts to the message and to the awakening, because we need to band together here. Dear Lord, please give us the strength to carry on, give us the wisdom to make good choices, and give us the persistence to see this through. Hey, Grandma, Grandpa, Dad, love you. Miss you guys each day. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. But trespass against us and deliver us from temptation. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Sorry, everyone got a little tongue-tied there. Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see all of you tomorrow. Class dismissed.
Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Kuma's lies, Dominion's deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Martin, Tina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night, restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. It's our rally call, truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong, opportunity for youth, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam, reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Kuma's fraud, Dominion's rigged design, expose the stolen votes, cross the dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the blow to stay, let the people have this. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call. Truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud. We'll be one man for the people. Set our great state free. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Governor Oltmann, freedom forever, Colorado rise. Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Rise up untamed. In the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam, Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Tame nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong.